A few months ago, YouTuber Tyler Oliveira went to a kebab shop near Tokyo to investigate Japan's Muslim problem. The owner kicked him and his crew out, but Tyler kept filming as a crowd started to form. Then, this happened. Okay, but why are people brawling in the streets over Muslim immigrants in a country that's 97% Japanese? Well, right-wing anti-immigrant sentiment is surging in Japan right now. And nobody has ridden that wave harder than this guy, Kawai Yusuke, one of Japan's most hardcore right-wing politicians.
違う人は私も嫌です。日本の政治は純粋な日本人だけが発信していいものだ。核爆弾撃ったわけでもないのに、30万も殺せるわけがないだろうっていうどこの日本人が。
Yusuke is one of the loudest anti-immigration voices in the country, but just 2 years ago, he wasn't anti-immigration, he wasn't even right-wing. Yusuke was, well, you know what, it's better if I just show you. So how does a man go from dressing up like a clown to becoming the face of Japan's anti-immigrant movement? Well, buckle up, because this story involves a citizen's arrest gone wrong, a sex scandal with an Egyptian TV star, and an ancient curse. That last one will make sense later, I promise. But the craziest part? Yusuke single-handedly pushed Japan's right wing into civil war. Feuds, betrayals, enough litigation to fund a small law firm, and as you're about to see, the man who started it all believes in absolutely nothing. This is how Japan's right wing got hijacked by a clown. So let's start with the question I'm sure is on everyone's mind. Why does he dress up like this? Well, surprisingly, Yusuke graduated from a top university and was actually a lawyer before he put on the makeup. Oh, sorry, I misread that. It actually says here he was a failed lawyer. I'm not trying to demean the guy, it's just, he's kind of like SpongeBob, you know? He failed the bar exam so many times that they refused to let him take it anymore. So, at the age of 40, Yusuke, in his midlife crisis, decided, like many failed lawyers before him, to get into politics. The only problem was, Yusuke wasn't very charismatic or funny, he sucked at public speaking, and he didn't have any political instincts either. So kind of like that annoying friend that everyone has, he would just say the most outrageous or offensive thing at every opportunity just to get attention. That's why he started doing this. Frankly, this is pretty half-assed. Like, if you're gonna become a joke politician, at least come up with a new character instead of just putting on a middle schooler's Halloween costume. Plus, half the time, he's also the mask? Like, huh? Buddy, can you stick to one character? Okay, so the last time we saw Yusuke was in 2024 when he was running for Tokyo mayor under the Meth and Legalize Polygamy platform.
今回私が訴える政策は一夫多妻制です。以上です。記者会見終わります。
During that campaign, his most notable achievement was getting censored by the government for this tasteful campaign poster that I can't even really show here, where his head is situated between this young lady's legs. Now, of course, he didn't win that election. You would have known that because you would have heard all about Tokyo's clown mayor if he did. But losing did something to Yusuke. He didn't want to be a loser anymore. This time, he was going to wipe off the makeup and become a serious politician. But believe it or not being the Joker would be the biggest mistake Yusuke ever made. It all started when he packed up his entire life and moved to Toda City in Saitama Prefecture, which is basically the Florida of Japan. And I'm not saying that to insult Florida, I'm just saying that, Saitama kind of sucks. So why did he want to live there then? Well, as it turns out, he had one very specific reason in mind. And that reason is Kurds. He was going to run for council there, and the Kurds would be his golden ticket into office. Now, if you're not chronically online enough to know about the Kurds in Japan, let me catch you up in 30 seconds. The Kurds are a group of people from here. There's about 3,000 of them in Japan as refugees, and most of them live in one city in Saitama. Now, Japan is super strict and does not approve their asylum, but they can legally reapply as many times as they want. They're in this limbo where they can't legally be deported, but also can't legally work, so they get paid under the table by other Kurds. Everything came to a head in 2023 though, when a feud between two Kurdish families escalated into a 100-man brawl on the street. And that was the spark. Despite no evidence that Kurds commit more crime than anyone else, a movement to deport all of them caught fire overnight. But what was Yusuke gonna do about it? I don't know, and neither did he. He mostly just posted a bunch of videos of Kurdish guys hanging out in this alley, writing about how scary they were and how they were making Japan unsafe. Look at them, smoking, illegally within 100 feet of a subway station. And I'm not cherry picking these clips either. Every time he posts some Kurds, it's always these guys smoking in this alley. And by the way, this alley isn't even in the city where he's running for office. It's in the city next door. So he's complaining about some guys who aren't even on his turf. But somehow the Protect Warabi's Alley platform fucking worked. And the Joker won with the most votes in history. Yeah, not 1 year after being the meth and polygamy guy, Yusuke got elected to a city council on a platform of safeguarding Japanese culture. This win made Yusuke famous and put him among the top Japanese right-wing influencers, basically the Avengers of anti-immigration. There, he'd meet his right-wing Harley Quinn, a lady who would change his outlook on life, Fifi. Fifi is a widely popular star on Japan's anti-immigration right. She's also, and brace yourself for this one, a Muslim immigrant from Egypt. Yeah, she's like super famous, she's always on TV and stuff. Actually, she's got this nickname, the Pharaoh's Chosen One, which sounds kind of majestic until you realize some variety show just called her that because the only thing they know about Egypt is this. But don't get it twisted, Fifi is not some upstart like Yusuke. She's an OG. Where Yusuke's out there chasing trends, blaming everything on the Kurds and the Chinese, Fifi's old school. She blames the Koreans.
日本へのネガティブキャンペーンを続けている韓国が気持ち悪いのは当然として、日本の国益と名誉が傷つけられている。
And Fifi's always saying shit like, there's nothing wrong with us Muslims. Muslims aren't the problem. The problem is Pakistanis.
どの国から来ているのかというと、その多くがパキスタンなんですね。我々エジプトのような世俗主義から見るととても異質に映るわけです。
Despite these massive differences, Fifi got along just fine with Yusuke. Better than fine, actually. They quickly became best buds. They were doing live streams together and hosting rallies together. Isn't it heartwarming to see an anti-Kurd guy and an anti-Pakistani chick put aside their differences? It's like one of those videos where a dog becomes best friends with a pig. And things were about to get even better for Yusuke from the last place he'd expect. You see, unfortunately, those Kurdish guys had stopped hanging out in the alley, so Yusuke ran out of content. Instead, he started doing nightly crime patrols in his neighborhood. One night in July of 2025, he'd find the content he was looking for. Yusuke spotted some Kurds hanging out in a convenience store parking lot, one of whom was apparently peeing in public. Yusuke, in some sort of citizen's arrest, tries to bring them to the police. Then this happens. Yusuke got grabbed and put in a headlock. Afterwards, he posted this picture of himself in a neck brace and a doctor's note saying he had a bruised arm. But Yusuke was acting like he'd survived the Battle of Helm's Deep. This was the jackpot. I mean, he got the perfect clip. The Joker gets roughed up by some Kurds. Oh, what's that? They're actually Nepalese, which you didn't admit until a year later? Don't worry about that. I'm sure your fans won't notice. Regardless, the incident went extremely viral, and Yusuke began building a large following of people who looked up to him as the anti-Kurd guy. He became the face of the whole movement. However, this was a huge problem for him because, as we've discussed, Yusuke has no idea what the fuck he's doing. A year ago, he was still putting on the makeup. In fact, when he was the Joker, he ran on a pro-immigration platform.
愛の力ということで、動物愛護の問題とか、LGBT と差別の問題を主に、訴えてます。
So maybe because Yusuke knew people would figure out he was a poser if they did like 5 minutes of research, he tried to act super patriotic. He started wearing the Japanese flag as a cape. He started saying shit like the Nanjing massacre is fake or that Japan has to preserve the emperor's sacred Y chromosome. At one point, he got so mad at his liberal debate opponent, he demanded he say he loves Japan and sings the national anthem on the spot.
日本愛します、反日じゃありませんって一言言ったら終わりじゃん、それで。
そんなことは当たり前じゃん。
君が歌うよ、二人で。
And this is when Yusuke started to fuck up. He was saying so much crazy shit that even other conservatives had a problem with it. The first one to speak out was Hosokawa Valentine, a half-Japanese former boxer turned conservative influencer who released a video calling Yusuke a fake conservative.
可愛いとか俺はビジネス保守だと俺は思ってるし。
Hosokawa really didn't like that Yusuke basically hijacked the movement and was now like rage baiting people for clicks instead of trying to get anything done, which is basically what Yusuke'd always done. Of course, when that got back to Yusuke, he didn't like it one bit, and he had some choice words to say about impure Japanese people voicing their opinions in Japan.
外国の顔してる人間に日本の政治語られたくないんですよね。もう見てて虫唾が走るんですよね。黒人の顔してるやつにもう日本の政治語ってるの見てるだけで私はイライラくるんですよ。まあこんなん言うたら差別的やってなるかもしれんけど、血が違うんですよ。血が違う人は私も嫌です。日本の政治のことは一切発信しないでください。気分が悪いです。日本の政治は純粋な日本人だけが発信していいものだ。
They're definitely gonna call me racist for this one, guys, but people with different blood make my skin crawl. Like, buddy, yeah, that's called racism. So, wow, he's gone full Draco Malfoy now. I mean, it was only a matter of time. But here's where his viewers asked him an astute question. Aren't you like best friends with Fifi?
私ね、病気やと思うんですよね。精神的な病気なんじゃないかなという気がして、あまりにも二重人格すぎるから。
Wow, that's a pretty harsh thing to say about a close friend and political ally. I wonder what possibly could have transpired between them. Yeah, they were sleeping together. They were obviously sleeping together and she dumped him. I mean, look at this guy. He just oozes bitter ex-boyfriend energy. But okay, let's be fair to Yusuke for a second. I mean, nobody looks good when their dirty laundry gets aired in public. Like, who amongst us hasn't gone on a full-blown racist rant against our ex after a messy breakup at the age of 45? But Yusuke's fans were surprisingly tolerant. Well, not tolerant of Muslims, but of Yusuke having sex with one. But from here, Yusuke would make 3 massive mistakes that would land him in hot water. Now, I had to watch a lot of random Japanese live streams and dig pretty deep to find this lore, which isn't easy unless you're a fluent speaker. And that's where today's sponsor, Migaku, comes in. When I first started learning Japanese, textbooks bored me to death, but making the leap to real anime and dramas felt impossible. Migaku basically solves that problem. It's a browser extension and app that lets you learn from stuff you'll actually want to watch. Like, I'll be watching something on Netflix or YouTube, and I hover over a word I don't know, I get an instant explanation, and one click turns it straight into a flashcard with audio, image, and everything. There's even a photo feature, so you can snap a picture of a manga or a menu at a restaurant and study straight from that. If you're a total beginner, they've got entire courses starting from hiragana and building all the way up to advanced grammar. And they just launched a feature that recommends reading content matched to your exact levels, so you're never stuck wondering what to read next. I'm always trying to improve my Japanese, and I've incorporated Migaku into my everyday studying. It's just that convenient. It's even got pitch accent, so advanced learners will know exactly how cool that is. And one subscription covers every language they offer, so you get Japanese, Korean, Mandarin, Spanish, you get everything. Plans start at just $10 a month, and with my link in the description or pinned comment, monthly and yearly plans come with an extra month free, or you can grab 50% off a lifetime subscription with all languages included. Seriously, click the link, it's the best deal they run. Now, back to those 3 mistakes Yusuke made. The first one was that he could not stop crashing out. You see, Hosokawa didn't escalate his feud with Yusuke, and he called a truce, probably because he knew Yusuke loves to make drama. Even Fifi shut up because she knew better than to provoke a guy who just spent 3 years living as the Joker. But Yusuke seemed to be taking it pretty hard because we're 5 months out and Buddy is still posting about Fifi almost every day. He's saying she hates Japan. He's saying she's only mad at him because he wouldn't marry her. And of course, he had to share this embarrassing live stream where, well, for some reason, she was in a restaurant yelling, dick, 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 dick. Yeah, I seriously don't know why she's doing this, but eventually one of her friends comes over and tries to get her to cut the stream, but she still refuses. And yeah, this is embarrassing, but even more embarrassing is a sitting city councilor making AI remixes of it and posting it to his YouTube channel. But Yusuke really did not know when to stop because he started trying to get his fans to contact the sponsors of Fifi's shows to get her canceled. Like, bro, can you fucking relax? You're supposed to be the civility and Japanese values guy. Did I sleep through the harassment campaign chapter of Japanese culture class? Months of crashing out like this would lead Yusuke into making his second mistake, which was becoming friends with this guy, Kenobi. Ken is a right-wing YouTuber who is even more into anti-immigration rage bait than Yusuke is.
I'm honored to die for my country. I'm not gonna fucking give my country to any foreigner. We are fighting against these people because we are not gonna give my country to anybody. No Mongolian empires, no Spanish, no Kurds, obviously.
Now, I'm just gonna say this off the bat. Ken is not the brightest guy. Like, here's his brilliant take on the Fifi situation.
アラブ人っていう人種自体が、アラブ人曰くよ。アラブ人のもう血は熱いらしいね。普通の会話からさ、うわーうわー、I'm gonna fucking ふわーふわーって。酒入ってなくてアラブ人ガーってくね。酒がマジでなかったらこうなってないから。
But what's wrong with Ken being an idiot? I mean, most of the people I cover on my channel are idiots. What's the big deal? Let me explain it this way. Every friend group has that one guy who always wants to do something really stupid. And it's not normally a big deal because when that happens, everyone else is just like, I don't know, that sounds dumb, and it blows over. The problem arises when you have a second idiot who goes, dude, that sounds like a great idea, but you know what would make it even better? Thereby creating a feedback loop that inevitably ends up in a police report or a YouTube prank video. And that's the problem with Ken and Yusuke becoming friends, because one night the two lads were streaming drunk at Yusuke's birthday party / political fundraiser. And while they were busy talking about how foreign women are trouble and Japanese women are better, a half Russian woman sat down beside Yusuke.
かわいい。かわいさん、ハーフ発言。
この子のハーフはあり。
ちょっと待って、寄ってみますか。
ちょっとだけね。
僕とジョーカーやったらどっちがいいですか。いや、やっぱ中東を通った方がいいっていうことですか。
But Ken warns her, Yusuke has the Pharaoh's curse.
ファラオに呪われるって言ってますよ。ファラオに呪われるって言ってます。
呪われるよ。興味ある。
虫巣が走るって言ったらもう。
でも可愛いはええよ。
いや、可愛いもん。
あれですよ。チャラいですよ僕。
女性を大事にしてくださいよ。
Yusuke is so out of pocket here that Ken's chat starts calling him a liberal.
夜はリベラル。夜はリベラル。夜はグローバリストや。
The night ends with Ken getting plastered and accidentally calling some girl he's trying to flirt with mom.
可愛いでしょ。
やめろお母さん、さ、お母さん、いや違う、言ってない。お母さんって今言う。お前さって言ってない。ごめん。
Looks like he too got the Pharaoh's curse. Now, all of this is pretty funny, but this would also be the night where Yusuke would make his third and final mistake, which would be the worst one by far. You see, somewhere in this drunken stupor, Yusuke mentioned a brilliant idea.
フィーフィーがまた怒るって言われてるの。
フィフィの、ちょっとなんかフィフィの名前出してるじゃないですか、ちょっと。実はなんか引きずるんじゃないですか。
引きずるかほんま。
引きずってますよね、絶対。
引きずるどころかお前もう絶対訴訟したるわほんま。やりまくったるわほんま。
いやそれは
死ぬほどやったるわほんま。
さ、感情的になるってことは、それは要は、
いや要は好きじゃないのよ。要は好きじゃねえよ。
Yeah, he really fucking did this. I mean, maybe it was the Pharaoh's curse, or maybe he just really didn't want Ken to think he liked her. But on April 21st, emboldened by his string of good decisions recently, Yusuke took Fifi to court for defamation, threats, and for sexually assaulting him. I want to be clear, obviously all assault claims are serious and should be investigated, but that's exactly why Yusuke's next move is so weird. So I tried to see if he had any evidence of this alleged assault, right? Well, apparently he does have evidence. He's just put it behind his YouTube membership paywall. I guess instead of Discovery, Fifi's lawyers can just pay him $7. Fifi, on the other hand, has released plenty of chat logs of them being all lovey-dovey with each other and photos of them amicably together at a Korean restaurant on the day after the alleged assault. I also want to point out that this is a civil case, there's no police involvement at all, and none of the parties have been investigated or questioned by the police. Look, I know most of you have already come to a conclusion about what happened here, but I just want to come out and say, I don't know what happened here. I'm not implying anything. I'm just showing you guys the facts. Now, it's unclear how this lawsuit is going to go because, it's Yusuke. He's the meth and polygamy guy. He's got some skeletons in his closet. The first shot came from Suzuki Nanako, a right-wing VTuber who apparently used to work in Yusuke's campaign, only to turn against him after learning what happened to the women who work for him. Now, you may want to grab a scone or something because the tea is about to be spilt. So on March 27th, Suzuki released an interview with a half-Russian, half-Japanese woman named Layla. According to Layla, she applied for a mysterious position at Yusuke's company in 2022. However, once Yusuke told her that the job was an NHK fee collector, a pretty shitty job, Layla immediately backed out. But the next day, Layla says Yusuke called her again to offer her another mysterious position. He wanted to talk to her over dinner. So they go to dinner, and of course Yusuke never mentions the job. He just immediately tries to take her to a love hotel. I think you can see where this is going, and yeah, they went. Now you might be wondering, did she at least get the job? The job that she came for? Well, Layla says he texted her saying, "Sorry about today," and she took that to mean there was no job. So flash forward 3 years, and according to Layla, Yusuke, now a city councilor, reaches out again. And this time he doesn't even bother pretending he has a job for her. Instead, he just acts nice and pretends nothing happened, like he thinks she just forgot or something. But eventually he gets her to agree to meet up on the condition that they actually date this time. Now, Layla says the first thing Yusuke did was take her to Don Quixote to buy lube, but he wouldn't go in because he was too afraid of being recognized, because he's super famous. Next, he took Layla to his apartment, and when she got there, the only things she saw were a desk, a computer, a pile of campaign flyers, and a bed with Mr. Joker lying on top of it, buck naked, on top of a plastic sheet. According to Layla, Yusuke is sitting there on the bed reading adult manga on his phone while Layla hops in the shower. In the shower, she discovers that he doesn't even have shampoo in his bathroom, he just has hotel soap. Oh, and 3 bottles of lube, of course. And then right as they're getting intimate, Layla says Yusuke tried to record her. Bro, this sounds like it's out of a fucking horror movie. And the worst part is, this horror movie has 15 sequels, I guess, because immediately after Layla came out with this interview, Fifi came out and said this is almost exactly what happened to her, down to the bottles of lube and hotel soap.
ベビーローションを置いたりですね。ベビーローション、犯罪者なんです。盗撮されたんです。盗撮をいびられてるんですよ。ずっと長い間、何ヶ月も。
Now, according to Suzuki, this wasn't one weird story. She says Yusuke has a pattern of doing this with his campaign volunteers and prospective employees. He's like fucking Dennis Reynolds, except at least Dennis Reynolds has the courtesy to take him out on his boat first. So, the Joker's reaction to all of this coming out was to call Layla a hater and then threaten to sue her for defamation. And of course, he also filed a lawsuit against Suzuki Nanako, the VTuber who did the interview. So you got this traditional values guy, this city councilman who cares about Japanese blood purity above all, but he can't stop having fucking liaisons with half foreigner women, once in the middle of a fucking live stream where he's rallying against immigrants. That's what kills me, that most of the leaders of Japan's hard-right anti-immigration movement are the worst representatives of Japanese culture. Take our friend Ken Kenobi, for example. Ken's parents sent him to Malaysia for 2 years to study English, and it paid off. His English is really good. He's an actual global citizen. Japanese parents dream of their kids speaking English like Ken. But let's be honest, his English is the entire reason he has an audience. People watch Ken because he's one of the few Japanese YouTubers who can speak to them in English. His multiculturalism is his content. And before he started ranting about the globalists destroying Japanese culture, he made videos about doing push-ups and weird spiritual life advice. Much like the Joker, he loved multiculturalism before becoming an influencer. And much like the Joker, he realized he could get way more views doing Western-style rage bait like this.
Where are you from?
Australia.
Australia.
Yeah. All of us.
Do you live here?
No. Visiting.
Visiting.
Yeah.
A woman should walk one step back from a man.
Do you not have that in your country?
Not really.
You know, man has to be the leader of the cow. Wife has to support husband's back.
Yeah, no, we're not like that. Independence. Yeah.
But independence will destroy the society. You know that?
Oh.
Because
Oh.
I did it! Yes! I told you, they're woke.
And they're woke as fuck. Liberals are evil.
What the f does this have to do with Japan? Like, do you see any other Japanese guys with megaphones screaming at tourists? Ken is literally just repackaging our culture war slop into Japanese.
Yasmin, go to subscribe my channel. I love Yasmin. Yes!
Even Ken's name is so Japanese that it came from a fucking Hollywood movie. Ken, you are the globalist. You are the foreign influence trying to reshape Japan. I mean, you're just doing an Andrew Tate impression and calling it preserving Japanese culture.
呪いです。フェミニストは呪い、呪霊、呪物です。
What do these guys even want at this point? Do they want to expel all the immigrants from the country, even the ones who are there legally? I remind you, Japan's conservative government gave these people visas to boost their economy. Even the Kurds are not a real issue. I mean, Japan already changed that infinite visa loophole back in 2024. Like, okay, you guys don't want Kurds, but you already got what you wanted. Do they want no immigration whatsoever? Or are they ethno-nationalists? In that case, isn't it a bit ironic that the #1 defender of Japanese blood purity keeps getting caught trying to sleep with foreigners? Really, I don't have a clue what these guys want, other than more clicks and views and notoriety online. Which brings us back to where we started. Ken and Yusuke picking a fight outside of the Kurdish restaurant they've just been thrown out of, fully convinced that they are the heroes in this story.
じゃなくて、一人がやったことはみんなのせいにしないよ。クルド人はやってるのはもちろんすごい悪いよ。こちらもクルド人として恥ずかしいのね。でも一人がやったことをみんなクルド人は同じことをやってるわけじゃないでしょ。日本人も同じことやって日本人みんなやってるわけじゃないでしょ。同じこと。犯罪は日本人、トルコ人、クルド人、ドイツ人関係ない。犯罪は犯罪。いや違う。国関係ないよ。いやあるある。それが違う。だからレイシストなんだよ。
By the way, this guy's the owner of that restaurant, Happy Kebab, Tefik Tash, who has been legally living in Japan for over 20 years. And you know, in 2024, when there was this massive earthquake in Noto, Tefik and some other Kurdish volunteers drove 11 hours to go and feed the evacuees. Apparently they made korba, which is this lentil and vegetable stew that actually looks really good. But for the evacuees, they made it special with like 0 spice so that everyone could eat it. They ended up providing around 5,000 meals. But when has the Joker or any of these guys ever done anything that actually helps other people? These guys will never do anything that doesn't directly benefit themselves or grow their brand, because frankly, that's all that they've got. They're not creative or funny. They were complete losers and failed influencers before they found their calling as guy who blames everything on foreigners. There's a reason they can't get along with anyone. I mean, even people who are 95% aligned with them. The only way these guys can succeed is by saying the most provocative shit and pissing off as many people as possible, which is why this clip really surprised me.
My way of thinking is like, okay, powerful people try to make us fight each other on the battlefield when we love each other. They do propaganda. Oh, Japanese are demons. Japanese are like fucking crazy people. They're like evil. And they spread a news in Japan. Oh my god, people from the other continent is so evil. They try to like fight each other for their benefit. If we fight, that's a lose for everybody.
Ken, that is the smartest thing you've ever said. And you know, I feel like you legitimately believe it and not the other stuff you say. Don't waste your potential rage baiting people online, Ken. You could do so much more. I believe in you, man. And as we catch up to the present, Yusuke still hasn't slowed down. In March, he showed up at the Kurdish Annual Festival, a celebration with food and music. Regardless of what you think about the Kurds, this is a wholesome, family-friendly event with like kids and stuff, and Yusuke went there for the sole purpose of disrupting it, to make content. That's like something Johnny Somali would do. Well, Yusuke got punched. Again. This went extremely viral, of course, and only helped him. But things haven't been all smooth sailing for Yusuke. I mean, Buddy is currently in an insane amount of lawsuits against so many different people, it's almost as if he wishes he was a lawyer. Not only that, it seems he's frantically trying to scrub the internet of all his old clips, especially the one where he comes off as super racist. I mean, he even threatened to sue Hosokawa Valentine for reposting it. But yeah, his follower growth is slowing down, which might be because all he does is post about Fifi, and recently there have been anti-Yusuke protests in his own district. People are marching outside with signs calling for his resignation. I mean, you can win all you want on the internet, but when your citizens are rallying against you in real life, people start to notice. This whole time, Yusuke's MO seems to have been that all attention is good attention. And he might have to learn what happens when that stops being true. He might have removed the face paint, but everyone can still see that he is a clown. So yeah, that's the story of the Japanese Joker. And hey, with this video, I think we've completed the trilogy: Tachibana, Hezuma, and now the Joker, the three most famous troll politicians in Japan of today, and we've covered all of them. Which also means, unless something insane happens, I am done with politics videos for a while, okay? So thank you guys for watching. Thanks to my patrons who make all of this stuff possible, and I'll see you next time for something different, hopefully. Peace out.